Yo, Justin. Justin. Alex called out at the top of her lungs. A pale boy with wavy black hair and lime green eyes rolled his eyes and ceased in his footsteps. What do you want, Alex? Oh, he's a Ravenclaw, right? Rebecca asked, noticing the blue highlighting the black robes with the crest of an eagle. Correct, Lily smiled. Wow, no hello dear sister, how's Hogwarts treating you? And who are your friends? How rude, Alex huffed, although her eyes twinkled with mischief. First of all, you've been avoiding me the whole time, not the other way around, and I know who your friends are, Venus Potter and Neville Longbottom, Justin said impatiently. Knowing you Alex, you didn't approach me for idle chat. Idle chat? Alex scoffed before guffawing. Stop using such big words whatever, ouch. Alex glared at Venus who glared back in return and she huffed, okay, fine. Ruin my fun, V. Justin, what do you know about some geezer called Nicholas Flamel? Justin's eyes lit up and he rambled on excitedly in a professor tone as though he swallowed a textbook. Nicholas Flamel is a famous alchemist. He's not only famous in the magical community, but in the mole world as well. Also, he's the only no-maker of the saw. Wait a minute, his face lost all glee and fervent adoration as his lime green eyes fixated suspiciously on his troublemaking sister. Why do you want to know? Shrugging, Alex donned on a face on pure innocence, one that nobody fell for in the slightest. Educational curiosity. He's not going to fall for that, Cole smirked. Reminds me of Cole and Henrik when they were up to their eyeballs in pranks and mischief, Elijah sighed in reminiscence, causing the original vampires to get lost in a long-forgotten memory. Lily smiled sadly, wishing more than ever that her darling Venus had a sibling to play with, a relationship like Justin and Alex Russo. You know, I don't have any siblings, but Elena and Bonnie aren't only my best friends, but my sisters, too, Caroline whispered to Lily, receiving a brilliant smile in return and a whispered thank you. Justin scoffed, like I'm going to fall for that. I know you, Alex. What trouble are you up to this time? Justin, please, Venus pouted, displaying puppy dog eyes. We're really curious. We heard some older students talking about him, and we just wanna know. Yeah, and those two are allergic to libraries apparently. We'll owe you one, Neville added. What? How can anybody sharing my blood have a hatred for books? Klaus gaped. Oh, she doesn't hate books, Lily laughed, her eyes seeing a vision far away. She has an aversion to libraries, but she loves all books and knowledge. Searching for something unknown in a sea of books annoy her. Now Alex Russo, that girl has an allergy to books. Klaus and Elijah looked mollified while Rebecca and Cole rolled their eyes and the Scooby Gang stared at the ruthless originals in shock. Justin seemed to struggle with himself before spitting out, nice try, I'm not gonna fall for that. I'm going to meet up with my friends. Justin, I swear to God, if you don't tell us, I'll tell Mum and Dad that you were the one who started the fire in the living room last year. Alex threatened. Spluttering and stammering, Justin said, that was you, Alex. Blackmail won't work this time. Mom and Dad will believe me over you. Alex crossed her arms. Playing the little girl card, Jeremy scoffed, staring at Elena pointedly who huffed and smacked him playfully. Oh, God, Elena always used to do that when we were little, Caroline laughed. Fine. Then I'll tell Harper you were the one who gave me her little love notes. Justin smirked in retaliation when the blood drained from Alex's face. I hate you. Alex yelled after him. Sue. Neville trailed off. Venus' lips curled into a weak smile, at least we narrowed it down. Justin gave us a clue. Alchemist and known maker of something that begins with SOR. The scene began to change, forwarding to Christmas Day. Neville was forced to go back home to his grandmother, but Alex stayed behind with permission from her parents as Justin returned. It was Christmas Day and the 10 Supernaturals and Lily felt their heart bleed when Venus displayed such wonder and shock at receiving presents. "Like I said, we're going to spoil her rotten," Rebecca cried out, wiping away a few tears, along with Elena, Carolyn, and Bonnie. Klaus didn't say a word, watching his daughter open her few presents with a stoic face. "Just don't make her arrogant," Lily implored. Cole scoffed. "Of course not, why on earth would she turn out to be arrogant?" Upon receiving a pointed look from many pairs of eyes, he harumphed and looked away. "The Russos sent her presents. How sweet," Elena cooed, watching as Venus excitedly tore open a few jackets and t-shirts with funny monikers printed on them. When Venus unwrapped the last parcel, a loud gasp emanated from Lily's mouth, her emerald eyes shining with tears. He gave it to her. "Thank you." Alex's eyes threatened to pop out of their sockets when Venus donned on the silvery cloak and disappeared entirely from view. "Holy shit!" Damon yelled in awe. "What is the magic behind the cloak?" Klaus insisted curiously. Lily smiled fondly. "It's an invisibility cloak. It belonged to James and his father before him and so on. It's a Potter family heirloom." "Who would give you an invisibility cloak?" "They're really expensive and rare." Alex crowed excitedly. Venus read the letter that came with the parcel out loud. "Your father left this in my possession before he died. It is time it was returned to you. Use it well. A very Merry Christmas to you." "Huh, do we know anyone with a loopy handwriting?" "Albus," Lily smiled. "The headmaster?" Stefan asked bewilderedly. "Yes. James lent it to him when we were in hiding. For safekeeping," Lily said, tears cascading down her cheeks in remembrance. "Cool. Now we can sneak around the castle and play pranks easier without getting caught." Alex cheered, drawing out a mischievous smile from Venus as she agreed wholeheartedly. Lily groaned aloud, stomping her foot like a petulant child. "Did you have to turn out like James and Sirius?" "I think it is a noble goal, using such a wondrous magical item for mischief and mayhem," Cole said proudly, his brown eyes shimmering with mischief. "You would," Klaus retorted, shaking his head in annoyance, yet a fond smile played across his lips. The scene changed, and Lily and the 10 Supernaturals began to cry when Venus discovered a mirror showing Lily, James, Sirius and to their surprise, the Michaelsons. "I show not your face, but your heart's desire," Lily whispered, the mirror of Erist. "When Venus looks in the mirror, her desire is to be surrounded by her family. My poor baby," she wept. The Michaelsons averted eye contact with the Scooby Gang, all of whom had grave and sullen expressions on their visage. Klaus adamantly glared at the opposite wall, listening to Dumbledore warn his daughter away from the mirror as he told her that many became insane, spending the rest of their lives staring into the mirror, and his fists clenched, wishing more than ever that he never discovered the existence of his daughter. He felt weak. I found it, Neville whispered harshly. Christmas had ended, and the students returned bringing along the start of the new term, and currently, the troublesome trio, as they were dubbed by the entire castle, were searching fruitlessly in the library through books of alchemy. Venus and Alex ditched the books they were attempting to read and crowded around Neville and the huge book that lay in front of him, reading out the passage in hushed voices. The ancient study of alchemy is concerned with making the Sorcerer's Stone, a legendary substance with astonishing powers. The stone will transform any metal into pure gold. It also produces the elixir of life, which will make the drinker immortal. There have been many reports of the Sorcerer's Stone over the centuries, but the only stone currently in existence belongs to Mr. Nicholas Flamel, the noted alchemist and opera lover. Mr. Flamel, who celebrated his 665th birthday last year, enjoys a quiet life in Devon with his wife Perinelle, 658. Wow! Witches and wizards found a way to achieve immortality. That's very impressive. Bonnie gasped. Yes, very remarkable, Rebecca agreed. Jesus, they're old. Like really, really old. Alex gaped, resembling a fish. No wonder Snape wants that stone. Not only would he become immortal, but rich too. Venus hissed. Neville gulped, nodding quickly. Also explains the need for Fluffy. Look who we have here. The Gryffindors. Draco Malfoy's drawling voice resounded from behind them, causing the troublesome trio to whip around with their wands out. Bloody annoying bastard, Klaus snarled. Bunch of ragamuffins, Rebecca sneered, glaring at the Blondbonts and his two gorillas. Damon, however, snorted, prompting everyone to glare at him. What? Gryffindors, come on, that's creative, was Damon's excuse. What do you want, Malfoy? Venus sneered. Come here to get your ass kicked? Alex said mockingly. Crabbe and Goyle began cracking their fists threateningly. Draco sneered in retort, I've been meaning to practice the locomotor mortis jinx on somebody. Should it be the two half-blood traitors or the squib that doesn't belong in the House of the Brave? You bastard. Cusses flew rapidly out of the 10 supernaturals' mouths and Lily glared fiercely, yelling about how Neville was brave and belonged in Gryffindor. Quick as a flash, Venus, Alex and Neville disarmed the 3 shocked Slytherins and gave them a makeover. When they were done, Malfoy, Crabbe and Goyle all had boils marring their faces, sporting pink hair and were hanging up in a net. Bye losers. Alex called out. Don't hang around for long, dinner starts soon, Venus smirked. Ugh, bloody amazing pranksters, Cole beamed. Well, as long as they use such spells for protection. Lily said unshyly, biting her lips in thought. The events forwarded, and they witnessed the troublesome trio attend classes, form a mutual alliance and friendly competition with the twin pranksters, Fred and George Weasley, and randomly prank Severus Snape and random people from all houses, especially those that annoyed them constantly, like a certain Ronald Weasley. The next Quidditch match between Gryffindor and Hufflepuff was surprisingly refereed by Snape, and Venus captured the snitch from right under his abnormally large nose at a record time of 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Things then took a horrible turn when the troublesome trio stopped by Hagrid's hut one day. Hagrid. What is that? Neville suddenly asked, hazel eyes widening as he stared into the fireplace. Hagrid. You didn't? Lily shrieked. What? What is it? Was echoed all around, but Lily merely ignored them, eyes narrowing at the huge, black egg in the fire. Is that a dragon egg? Venus gasped. A dragon egg? Holy shit. Hagrid, where did you get that? I mean, it's not like the magical menagerie in Diagon Alley sells dragon eggs in bulk. It's illegal. Alex ranted nervously. For once any and all mischief had evaporated from her face at the grave predicament. Won it, said Hagrid proudly. Last night. I was down in the village having a few drinks and got into a game of cards with a stranger. Think he was quite glad to get rid of it, to be honest. Of course he was, Hagrid, they're illegal, Neville shouted hysterically. Because that isn't suspicious at all, Klaus sneered, glaring at the gamekeeper as though he were him. Hagrid has always been fond of dragons. Ever since I went to Hogwarts, he'd been going on and on about getting one as a pet. Nobody thought he'd actually succeed, Lily sighed warily. Well, he's a bloody moron, that's what he is, Rebecca scoffed. Doesn't it seem suspicious that some random guy came up to Hagrid, who I might add, is well known for wanting a dragon, and handed a dragon egg over for a game of cards? Venus informed Alex and Neville suspiciously as they left the hut and went into the castle. Duh. Dragon eggs are expensive. Like millions of galleons expensive. It's ridiculous for some smuggler to hand it over for free. There's something fishy about all this, Alex replied nervously, her face scrunched up in thought. Events unfolded after that. The troublesome trio asked Fred and George for help, and they sent a letter to their older brother, Charlie, who works at a dragon resort in Romania. Bollocks. They got caught after smuggling a dragon out of the castle, Cole groaned, glaring angrily at Filch, the caretaker and his horrid cat. I cannot believe McGonagall gave them detention and took away 150 points from them. That's harsh and cruel. The marauders were always caught after curfew and she'd take away 20 points maximum. Lily yelled angrily, staring at her ex-head of house in disappointment. Klaus growled lowly in his throat when he witnessed the whole school torment his daughter and her friends, but a proud smirk replaced the seething glare when they took it in stride and pranked them all in retaliation. Anyone else wants a piece of us? Alex yelled when everyone in the Great Hall was sporting bald heads and their faces were free from hair, including eyelashes and eyebrows. Brilliant. Damon and Cole smirked, glaring again at each other for saying the same thing. Honestly, they're geniuses for first years, Jeremy laughed. Lily shook her head in fond exasperation. Naturally, when Venus and her friends began looking into a large repertoire of spells and potions, she was proud thinking that they wanted to improve their grades and education. But knowing that they were learning for pranks brought the stern mother in an impasse. Okay. Is it just me, or do witches and wizards lack any common sense? Venus snapped as they followed Filch toward Hagrid's hut for detention at 11 o'clock at night. We got detention and lost 150 points for sneaking off after curfew, and they give us detention into the Forbidden Forest after curfew. Stupid. Alex snapped in retort while Neville began sweating in fear. The Forbidden Forest. You sent 3 first years there. Lily screamed furiously, shattering the 10 Supernatural's eardrums. Lily, exactly how dangerous is that forest? Klaus asked, expecting the worst. Very. During my years at Hogwarts, a werewolf resided there, and there are a Cromantula, giant spiders, and many other dangerous creatures in there. Even 7th years must have an escort if they were to go into that forest, Lily blathered on nervously. Klaus felt like he was doused in ice-cold water, and sighed gratefully when his brothers and sister edged closer to him for comfort. Look there, Hagrid bent over and pointed at a pool of silver substance shining on the ground. See that stuff shining on the ground? Silvery stuff? That's unicorn blood. There's a unicorn in the bin hurt badly by Summit. This is the 2nd time in a week. I found one dead last Wednesday. We're gonna try and find the poor thing. We might have to put it out of its misery. A unicorn, they're actually real. What's wrong, Lily? Rebecca ceased her fan chattering when she noticed Lily crying. It's just, to kill a unicorn. It's such a dastard thing, to slay something so pure, so innocent for your own means, Lily cried, wiping the tears from her face roughly. Word of advice, ladies and gents, never, ever harm a unicorn unless you want a cursed life. The 10 Supernaturals traded looks of alarm, but wisely kept their mouths shut, until... What? Klaus bellowed, his blue-green eyes flashing gold for a second. That big oaf split them up? Fang's a bloody coward, Hagrid. You should have let Venus and Alex stay with you and Neville. Lily screamed, her face turning as red as her hair. You think Professor M gave us detention in the Forbidden Forest to scare us from starting mischief and making pranks? Alex whispered as they trudged through the thick trees, searching for the unicorn. Venus snorted, most probably, but she's just wasting her time. Alex smirked at that, but I believe that Hagrid felt bad we got in trouble for helping him and asked for us. Alex groaned. We gotta have a few words with the big dude. He needs a shrink. I concur with Alex's assessment, Cole drawled. Lily nodded her head. Venus is correct though. Hagrid most probably felt bad and asked that they spend detention with him. If I were alive I'd have a few choice words with him, she ranted. The girls all screamed as the scene changed to show a hooded figure drinking from a fallen unicorn. What the hell? Damon yelled, eyes wide in shock. V, get up. V. Alex yelled, unwilling to leave her best friend's side as she collapsed onto the ground, a hand cupped around her scar in agony. Staring wide-eyed at the figure stalking toward them, Alex raised her wand and sent a flare of red sparks just as a palomino body galloped over their heads and scared the figure off. A centaur? Oh, thank God. Lily breathed out, her hand clutching her chest in fear. Although the 10 supernaturals were curious about seeing a real-life centaur, they were currently more worried about Venus. Klaus snarled in rage, inhaling and exhaling roughly. Who the bloody hell was that creature? Emerald eyes glinted in fear, but she didn't say a word. Oh my God, thank you so much, mister. Alex smiled weakly as she helped a weary Venus onto her feet. The centaur nodded, bright blue eyes studying Venus. You are the Potter girl. My name is Firenze. Hagrid is on his way. Whoa, she's even famous to the centaurs. Jeremy gaped in surprise. Thank you, but what was that thing you saved us from? Venus shakily asked, saddened eyes staring at the dead unicorn. Venus Potter and friend, do you know what unicorn blood is used for? Firenze suddenly asked, shocking the girls. No, we only use their horns in potions. Why? Alex asked, keeping a hand wound tightly around her friend's shoulder. That is because it is a monstrous thing to slay a unicorn. Only one, who has nothing to gain, would commit such a crime. The blood of a unicorn will keep you alive, even if you are an inch from death, but at a terrible price. You have slain something so pure and defenseless to save yourself, and you will have but a half-life. A cursed life, from the moment the blood touches your lips, Firenze explained slowly. Venus and Alex shivered, eyes staring horror-struck from Firenze to the dead unicorn. Who the bloody hell would do such a thing? Rebecca breathed out in horror. But Klaus and Elijah paled and in unison, gasped out, no. Klaus shook Lily hard and shouted, tell me it's not him, Lily. Tell me. He's supposed to be dead, Lily. He's not, Klaus. Lily screamed, tears staining her face. Would one of you like to clue us in? Damon snarled in annoyance. Are you saying, no? No, no, no. What? You know what is hidden in the castle. Can you think of nobody who has waited many years to return to power, who has clung to life, awaiting their chance? Firenze pressed onwards. Voldemort, Venus whispered, fear tinging her voice. That maniac is dead, Cole sneered. Elena shook her head sadly, we thought the same thing about Klaus when Elric killed him and he turned out to be alive. Why is it so hard to believe this Dark Lord found a way to survive? Elena's words had a solemn impact on everyone else. I had a witch help me. Bonnie Bennett did a spell, Klaus snarled, unwilling to believe the dark wizard intending to kill his flesh and blood was still alive. Klaus, there are many rituals of dark magic in the wizarding community. Voldemort went in too deep to discover a way of surviving beyond normal means, Lily whispered gravely. Venus, Alex. Neville yelled, running toward them and engulfing them in a tight hug as Hagrid puffed behind them, thanking Firenze profusely. This where I leave you, Firenze murmured, staring unblinkingly at Venus, you are safe now, original child. Good luck, Venus Potter. The planets have been read wrongly before now, even by centaurs. I hope now is one of those times. Original child? Lily, how did this Firenze know of her parentage? Elijah asked, and 10 pairs of eyes stared inquisitively at the spirit. Centaurs have their own methods of depicting the future. They read the planets and the stars, Lily replied. Hagrid and I ran into 2 centaurs, Ronan and Bane. They kept muttering non-stop, Mars is bright tonight, Neville said. The troublesome trio were sitting in the empty common room, having just returned from the forest and were discussing the events of the night. My dad told me that Mars depicts war. Alex rolled her eyes. I honestly think all that prediction mumbo-jumbo is complete gibberish. Well, who cares about all that? Voldemort is alive, Snape is probably helping him get the stone so he can achieve immortality. I'm screwed, Venus rambled nervously, dragging a hand through her wavy honey blonde hair. Neville flinched at the name, prompting Alex to roll her eyes. But Neville recovered at once and said, My gran always said that Dumbledore was the only person you know who was frightened of. As long as we're in Hogwarts, we're safe. He'd be bloody mad to come after you. Neff is right. Don't worry, Alex smiled weakly. That bastard better stay away from my baby. Lily snarled. I'll rip off his innards and force feed it to him if he touches a bloody hair on her head, Klaus snarled. Hey, Alex, look, Venus squealed, suddenly tossing her invisibility cloak. It came with this note. Just in case. Huh. It's the same handwriting as the person who gave it to you in the first place, Alex smirked. Oh, Albus, Lily smiled fondly. The headmaster seems to favor my niece. Why? Cole asked curiously. Albus was always like a grandfather to her. Him and Minerva used to babysit for us sometimes when we had nobody else, Lily informed them fondly. They would never show favoritism in public though. The next day, Justin ran over to the troublesome trio's side at the Gryffindor table and began frantically coddling an annoyed Alex. Honestly, what were they thinking sending you off to the Forbidden Forest after curfew? Are you all right? Did anything happen to you? Did you get hurt? Justin, I'm fine. You're embarrassing me. Alex groaned while Venus and Alex grinned in amusement. Then next time think twice before getting in trouble, he retorted. You know Professor McGonagall sent Mum and Dad a letter. You're going to be in so much trouble when we return to Waverly Place in the summer. Alex shrugged nonchalantly. What else in new? My sister and that whale of a husband won't even care if Albus or Minerva sent them a letter, Lily sniffed in disdain. I'm going to enjoy slaughtering them, Cole murmured to Rebecca, who nodded fervently in agreement.